When Lee asked me to say a few words about where we are and how we got here, my first thought was, gee, we've been at this for quite a long time. When did it begin, actually? Well, I can remember the occasion. It was a blustery day in late November of 2016 when 5 of us met in the Mezzetta Cafe on St. Clair West to share some Middle Eastern tapas and kick around a few ideas. We'd all been active in local green groups and really enjoyed meeting our neighbors and creating events to build climate awareness and energy savings and so on. But we were frustrated by the limited scope of these activities. Surely we could make more headway by linking up with other groups, sharing ideas, and maybe even incubating new groups in other parts of the city. By the end of lunch, we convinced ourselves to try the idea on a few more friends. There were about a dozen of us at the next meeting, which we held at Lee's house, calling it a party with an agenda. The agenda part brought on a very lively discussion. On the one hand, there was a lot of excitement in the room, enough to convince us that we were onto something. On the other hand, there were some serious doubts about how it could ever work. And I'll have a little more to say about those in a minute. In any case, we all left the meeting wanting somehow to press ahead, but unsure of what to do next, and well aware that it wouldn't be easy. We weren't wrong on that score, but looking back now, I think our little group would have been astonished to see what GNN has become today. The sheer numbers are pretty impressive. Today, our network brings together some 23 local neighborhood groups, 12 citywide grassroots, and 10 partner groups for a total of 45 member groups in all. And at latest count, GNN also had more than 700 individual members. Now, you might say those numbers tell us more about the growing popularity of grassroots environmental action than they do about our network. So what about GNN? What have we been up to lately? Well, it turns out quite a bit. Just about exactly a year ago, GNN became a federally registered nonprofit corporation. Being incorporated made us eligible for federal grants. And so our volunteer executive director, Colin Love, lost no time in applying for one via the Canada Summer Jobs Program. We used the grant to hire a talented journalist videographer who carried out detailed telephone surveys of our member groups to learn more about their needs, and then produced a series of brief promotional videos about them. During this time, we also experimented with a microgrant program to help our member groups to cover some costs of their activities, allowing them to do a little more with less. Important as they were, these projects pale before GNN's biggest event of the year, the first ever virtual Toronto Eco Fair, a month-long festival of workshops, webinars, films, and vendor events carried out almost entirely online in October and November. The fair was a resounding success by any measure, and a testament to the impressive skills of the organizing team led by Lee Adamson. And then, of course, winding up the year is today's membership celebration. Again, the work of another very able team led by Lee, and itself the first of its kind. So all in all, I'd say a pretty busy and productive year, and right in the middle of a pandemic. How did we get to this point? Well, the answer is complicated, and it involves contributions by a lot of dedicated people, all of whom deserve to be thanked, except that if I did so, I'm sure I would use up the rest of my time. So instead, I'd like to point to something more general that made a big difference, a kind of slow breakthrough that has been changing the way we operate and what we've been able to get done. Remember those doubts I mentioned about the network idea that came up in our early meetings? Well, in some ways, they were well-founded. We weren't really clear about this, but I think we were hoping that the leaders of our member groups would all somehow chip in a bit of their time and energy, maybe in rotation, to staff our network steering committee. we'd all sort of pool our resources and somehow make it happen. Alas, it never worked out that way. One of the comments we heard at that second meeting expressed the problem very clearly. We love the idea of a green group network, but we're already up to our eyeballs running our own groups. We just don't have any time or energy to spare. Well, we managed to work around this problem for the first year or two by drawing heavily on members who were retired or otherwise had time to spare, but we knew that wasn't a permanent solution. So what changed? I think the breakthrough came when we realized that there were very able individuals out there, some already members of GNN, others yet to be discovered, who did have a bit of spare time and were excited about the challenges we offered. Late in the fall of 2018, we had put out the first in a series of volunteer job postings in bulletins like Good Work for specific positions on our leadership team. We were amazed by the number and quality of the applications we received. This is the beginning of something new. The process is still ongoing, but we feel very lucky to say that the best of these applicants in a variety of areas now form the core of our very dedicated steering committee. During this time, we also began to appreciate the talents and energy of the many individual GNN members who stepped up to help organize time-limited but intensive projects like our annual Eco Fair. We began to realize that while our member groups are the focus of our purpose as an organization, our volunteers are really the backbone of GNN's capacities as a network. To put it differently, we began to recognize that GNN's success hinges on the interplay of two distinct elements. One is a diverse collection of volunteer-led member groups, all working in their own neighborhoods or on their own issues, groups like the ones you'll be meeting here today. The other, equally important, is a strong team of GNN volunteers helping to support, connect, and celebrate these groups and their efforts to make our city a greener place. So, what's the takeaway lesson here? Well, that might depend on who's asking. For those of you who aren't yet part of the GNN network, it means that there are two big ways you can get involved. The first is to join one of our existing member groups. In addition to the ones you'll be meeting today, you can learn about all of the others on our website and decide which is best for you. Or you can start one of your own, and we may be able to help you with that. The second option, the second path, is to begin by becoming an individual member of GNN. It's very easy. Just go to our website and click on Join. Signing up will get you a free subscription to our excellent newsletter, by far the best place to learn what GNN is all about. You'll also get a chance to join one of our really interesting and active project teams, political engagement, home energy, zero waste, all of which depend on the contributions of individual members. Or you can take the final step and become a GNN volunteer. If you have time, even a little time, we have the opportunities. And you can see there are quite a few here in all sorts of areas, and that's not the whole list. So there are plenty of ways to be part of GNN and to add something to what we're doing. So think about it. It's a great way to have some fun, meet some cool people, and make a real difference. So with those words and the ringing in the ears of our audience, Brittany, I turn the microphone back to you.